Welcome back. And Nigeria seems set to increase its local refining capacity with a soon-to-be-developed modular refinery, a project that is being undertaken by Eco Petrochem and Refining Company, a subsidiary of Integrated Oil and Gas Limited. To give a boost to the project, which will be situated on Tomaro Island in Lagos, the U.S. Trade and Development Agency signed a grant with Eco Petrochem and Refining Company Limited on the island.
Across the waters from Apapa lies Tomaro Island, where representatives of the U.S. Trade Development Agency, staff of Petrochem and Refining Company, and indigents of Tomaro await the grant signing, which has been expected for 2 years. Each party believes this is tangible proof that their dreams of locally refined oil, trade, and job creation will come true.
We will be able to produce refined oil cheaper. We will be able to sell same in the international market, and two things will happen. We'll be able to save a lot in the foreign exchange that we currently spend, and we'll be able to earn a lot of foreign exchange as well.
Our intention is to create an industrial park that will be the centre of excellence, operating to the highest international standards. We will attract major industry.
It's truly a win-win scenario. U.S. companies gain market access, while our Nigerian partners gain insight into the latest, most innovative technologies to advance their development goals.
All parties involved put pen to paper to seal the deal of almost $800,000 US. The Nigerian Ministry of Petroleum puts its seal of approval on the project.
Working hard to see how we can be granted a pioneer status, how can together we can go and march with you to secure various duty waivers, import facilitation, OBR equipment, and engineering review.
Apart from the 200,000 barrel per day modular refinery, a 75-hectare wide piece of land on Tomaro Island will also bear the Tomaro Industrial Park, containing, among others, storage facilities, helicopter services, a ship fabrication yard, and accommodation. The federal government has conferred free trade status on the industrial park.
On more innovations, with a worsening unemployment rate in Nigeria, which currently stands at 14.2%, young people may have no option but to embrace social innovation initiatives in order to stay relevant in society. This is part of the submissions of participants at the Leap Africa Social Innovation Program reunion of all the fellows from 2013, which featured a cross-fertilization of ideas as well as mentoring sessions.
In 2015, we were so impressed with,
It's a gathering of young entrepreneurs, catch the Leap Africa Social Innovators Program in Lagos.
So maximize the opportunity to ask questions.
The aim is to enable 3 sets of innovators from the program forge a platform to ensure their initiatives grow larger with sustainable impact. Some of the experienced entrepreneurs speak on how they've scaled up their ventures.
We started in 2014. So far, we've invested in 15 startups, comprising of over 50 entrepreneurs.
Nobody can help our own people if we don't help them.
Thereafter, a group of panelists x-ray steps in building sustainable social venture.
When you look at the elements of your business, the question you ask yourself is, who is going to pay for it? And I always tell people that anywhere you find value, someone is going to pay for it.
We plan and plan and plan. But we don't execute. There's a gap between our plan, our policy statements, and our ability to execute. And those who are successful are those who can translate their plan into tangible outcomes.
The program stresses social innovation as key to effectively engaging young people and plugging unemployment gap in the country.
The rationale behind this is that for many of the problems we face in Nigeria and on the continent Africa, we at Leap believe that one of the greatest ways to move out of this decadence is to strengthen, inspire, empower, and equip these change agents with the skills, with the resources, with the networks, with the tools that they need.
Solve a societal problem that you have and then find a way to make profit from it.
According to the National Bureau of Statistics, About 29 million Nigerians are currently unemployed, a figure Leap Africa considers surmountable when young people become change makers, offering solutions to challenges in their local communities. Chris Elems, Channels Television News.
Let's now bring you the latest in business news. Here's Anne Nwaldo.
You first. First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Millicent. And we'll begin business news with Nigeria's Debt Management Office saying the country's budget deficit is a deliberate act aimed at stimulating economic growth. The Director General of the agency, Patience Oniha, made this known at her first meeting with journalists in Lagos. According to her, government is determined to utilize borrowed funds and the repayment plans have already been put in place.
Change is a difficult thing. When we're used to doing things in a certain way, I can assure you from that assignment, change is a difficult thing. And but we're going to walk through. So some of the questions people ask you, are you sure is the government committed? Are they serious? Things like that. So that faith in the government that says, I want to cut payroll costs, I want to cut overhead expenditure. Sometimes you find people don't believe us. I don't know, but I can speak for the Federal Ministry of Finance, where I worked out of for almost about 2 years, July. There's definitely a commitment to achieve some of those objectives and to look at other ways where we can manage debt with clear repayment plans and utilization, and also how we can moderate the debt service costs. So there are clear plans for that.
The Securities and Exchange Commission has set up a joint committee with the secretaries of listed companies on the Nigerian Stock Exchange to investigate fictitious shares ownership in the capital market. The decision was reached today at a meeting in Lagos, where the Commission gave a 6-month window to shareholders to prove their ownership of existing investments.
In our effort to tidy up our data, we set up a committee and they came with a recommendation by saying that for those that can actually come and justify that they are actually the bona fide shareholders of those shares, we've given them a forbearance from now to the end of December. They should come with concrete evidence, a KYC as provided by SEC under SEC rules and regulations, and once they can prove that, they should be able to claim those investments. For those that bought those shares in different names completely, certainly there's no KYC that can support it, and so they will forfeit it completely, and the process we agree should go to the Market Development Fund.
That is a fantastic initiative in itself because of the image of the country, because if the various stakeholders who are saddled with corporate governance in this country will begin to look inward and look within their space and clean up, in his words, then that means that overall we're going to have the ripple effect. Everybody is doing what they're supposed to do. So it's a fantastic initiative. There is a huge problem there because we have fictitious names that are dovetailing to the unclaimed dividends and all sorts of things coming up in the market.
One of Nigeria's major oil retailers, that's Con Oil, is reporting an impressive performance in its 2016 full-year results. According to the financial statement released by the company, the indigenous petroleum marketer profit before tax increased by 24% to 4.28 billion naira, up from 3.4 billion naira it was in 2015. The company also saw its profit after tax increase by 23% to 2.84 billion naira last year, against 2.30 billion naira recorded in 2015. And as for its revenue, it's increased from 82.9 billion naira to 85.02 billion naira in the period under review. Nigeria's stock market ends the second trading week of August positive and still remains the world's current best performing bourse. For details, let's join BC Adebayo.
The local equities market recovered from Thursday's brief 11 basis points decline to end Friday better by 26 basis points and a 33 billion naira increase in total market value. This comes as investors react to some earnings, including Zenith Bank results released on Thursday. Friday's trading yielded over 353.64 million units of shares, worth 6.3 billion naira from 4,079 transactions, which were mostly driven by GT Bank, UBA, and Zenith Bank. All sectoral parameters ended positive across all counters, except the insurance index, which dropped by 0.32%. The top three gainers from a list of 19 are the shares of Unilever, Lafarge, and Owando, in contrast with losses recorded by CNI Leasing and 20 other losers. And that's the stock market report. I am BC Adebayo.
Well, it's a fairly mixed close for global stock markets today as Wall Street posted its second worst weekly performance for 2017 on continued tensions between US and North Korea. Let's see the figures. Many thanks for watching Business News Tonight. I'm Anne Owaodo. The rest of the news at 10 continues with Millicent.
You first. First Bank.
Many thanks, Anne. The Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Mr. Useni Uguru, is seeking the partnership of private and international finance institutions in addressing infrastructural challenges confronting the Niger Delta region. Speaking at a meeting with the Deputy Governor of Ondo State, he expressed optimism that the new partnership with key players will go a long way in fast-tracking the needed development. On his part, the Deputy Governor of Ondo State, Mr. Agbola Falabi, appealed for an upward review of funds allocated to the state in subsequent budgets to cater for the needs of its people, given its status as an oil-producing state.
We are getting private sector investors. We are getting funding agencies, including international ones like the International Finance Corporation, is getting a representation. Based on what we have started with Ondo State, which we are extending to the other states, the expectation is that from here, the private sector, in cooperation or partnership with the state governments, will define what can be done in their respective states to boost business and enterprise, while the federal government provides the foundation for effective funding under bankable principles, because this is the only way we can have job creation enhanced in the region.
If you look at your budget 2017-16, the mandate area, that is the largest order, is not captured. Most of the projects we want to execute 2017 now is not in the oil producing community. This I'm saying for the emphasis, so that whenever you want to start 2018 budget operation, wide consultation should be made with the stakeholders, so that we can continue to attack, so that our boys will not continue to protest. This is a commission, this is a ministry that was created for a purpose, and we want that purpose to be achieved.
Still ahead on the news at 10, not a very happy day for Lindsay Lindley and Toby Amusa as they crash out of the women's 100-meter hurdles at the 2017 IAAF World Championship in London. That's in sports news. Please stay with us.